Hello, I'm Lucy Hockings. Good to have you with us. Here in the UK, the regulator for the communications industry, Ofcom, has vowed to force through more changes to improve online safety. It accuses some big tech firms of failing to take steps to protect children. It says children under 13 are still accessing social media meant for teenagers and adults, nearly a year after online safety laws came fully into force. Our technology editor, Zoe Kleinman, reports.
The use of these companies' products by children has been debated for months. Now the influential Education Select Committee is calling for an outright ban on social media for under 16s. But a ban may not be as straightforward a solution as it sounds. Newsround has helped some schoolchildren in Greater Manchester get in touch with their counterparts in Australia, where they've had that ban for the last 6 months.
What were your first thoughts on the ban and how have they changed?
My first thoughts on the ban were pretty negative about it. You don't need an account to access certain social medias like YouTube and TikTok, so they could have put more thought into it before they executed the ban.
Even on Snapchat, there's an age verification face scan, I think. It's pretty easy to bypass it.
If you think of it like that, the ban seems a bit pointless because if you're still going to be able to get around it, it's a bit like they just did all that work for nothing.
If you were to redo the ban, how would you make it to stop children getting around it?
I reckon if they put more thought into the verification things, that would have done them so much good, because that's how majority of the people have gotten around the ban.
In the UK, the tech companies are legally supposed to block under 13s from accessing social networks by using age verification tools. But in new research released today, the watchdog Ofcom claims nearly 9 out of 10 children aged 8 to 12 are still using platforms meant for teenagers and adults. There's been some progress. Ofcom praised Roblox, Snapchat and Meta for introducing new features designed to improve children's safety. But TikTok and YouTube were slammed for failing to come up with ways to improve how they recommend content to children. YouTube said it provided industry-leading, age-appropriate experiences for young viewers and worked with child safety experts. Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, wants Apple and Google to take responsibility for what children can access on their phones from the moment they set them up by locking down the app stores depending on their ages. Ofcom's been accused of being too tame in its attempts to make the tech giants change their ways, but now says it's determined to use all of its powers, which can include large fines. The Education Committee has called for a statutory ban on social media for children, as well as restrictions for under 18s on design features like infinite scrolling and disappearing messages. Nearly 70,000 people have taken part in a public consultation, which is also seeking views about these potential measures and is due to end next week. The government has pledged to act swiftly on the results. Zoe Kleinman, BBC News.
Well, the views of the children that you saw in that report were filmed by Newsround, which is a BBC News programme for young people, and with me is one of their presenters, Ricky Boletto. Ricky, speaking particularly to the Australian kids about their experiences with the social media ban, what was your overwhelming impression?
Do you know, I was surprised. I thought they would be quite content and happy that it's trying to keep them safer, perhaps stop things like cyberbullying from happening, and also to try and reduce on that addictive nature of constantly checking your phone all the time before bedtime and all of those things that a lot of teenagers are having issues with. But actually, from what we were told by the children in Australia, they found ways to get around the ban quite easily. So a lot of those age verification checks are not quite up to scratch yet. A lot of the children said, in fact, one girl in particular said she managed to draw a moustache and scrape her hair back, and that fooled the technologies into thinking that she was older. So a lot of those kids have been doing that, and teenagers, of course, they always do find a way. There were a couple of good stories, though. Some of the kids saying that they've noticed the parks are a bit fuller. Kids are communicating with their parents a little bit more, and those children that felt isolated before the ban, if they had parents who said you can't be on social media until you're 16, felt a little bit more like they were included in the conversation, so they didn't have kids competing with them saying, oh, you're not on it, you're not cool like us. They could say, well, actually, none of us are on it, although, of course, some are still managing to get onto these apps.
So do children around the world have some better ideas about what would work?
I think so, and I think a lot of children are expecting bans to come in all around the world. You know, the UK are looking at it, lots of other countries all over the world are looking at this very closely, what's been going on in Australia since the 10th of December when it came into effect. Here in the UK, there's a lot going on at the moment with governments deciding what they should do, how they should tackle this. We've heard from Ofcom today looking at different ways that they should approach this and whether they should be putting more pressure on the technology companies as well. I think children here are expecting something to happen, you know, but how do you, as a young person, how do you fit in a society where so much is focused on social media, whether it's the latest trends, whether it's the latest music? Without it, you are kind of segregated and removed from so much of what goes on in the playground.
What about the addictive nature of the algorithm?
Yes.
I can't tell you how much time I spent looking at Arsenal content, for instance, last night. I mean, I just couldn't put my phone down. I can't control myself.
That's the issue. So I think one of the announcements here in the UK is saying perhaps for under 13-year-olds, there should be an end to that cycle if they are going to be going onto social media, to stop that from continually happening. And again, a lot of people are saying that this ban should be a starting point. You know, it is not a complete solution to the problem. But as we are seeing, more and more governments all over the UK are really starting to pick up on this and realise how damaging it can be to young people's mental health.
Yeah, good to hear from you. And a lesson here, always talk to the kids first
And
they're the ones with the ideas.
Absolutely.
Ricky, thank you so much.